Hey, Pokemon Masters, Toby here, and it is spooky month, which means we've got to start talking about ghost-type Pokemon. Particularly, I want to talk about one of my favorite ghost-type Pokemon, Rotom. I love this Pokemon, and by the way, if Rotom is available in the early game of Diamond and Pearl for Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, I recommend you pick one up for your team. In the original Diamond and Pearl, you couldn't get it until the post-game, until after the National Dex. This led, at the time, there to be a lot of intrigue about Rotom, and actually, as far back to year one of this channel, I was making Rotom Pokemon theories with the Rotom boy himself, Game Boy Luke. Now we are, look at us, little young people, that was 6 years ago, making theories about Rotom, and there's been no shortage of them ever since. There's been plenty of theories about Rotom out there. I think I've had 5 on this channel. I've seen at least 5 or 6 others across YouTube in that time. And so today, to celebrate the spoopy month, but also the upcoming Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, I wanted to celebrate by talking about my 5 favorite Rotom theories. I'll be giving all of the evidence as well as including any new evidence that we've discovered in the time since. And of course, because this video has Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl in the title, means that if you leave a comment letting me know if you have any Rotom theories, you're in with the chance of winning a copy of Brilliant Diamond or Shining Pearl. No, sorry, Legends Arceus. I'm giving away Legends Arceus. 3 copies, worldwide giveaway. Anyone can win just by commenting. Anyway, sorry, muzzled, duzzled brain. I think there's a Rotom in there somewhere. So let's play the intro and join me after for 5 theories about Rotom. Okay, Pokemon Masters, so we're going to start off with a classic one. This was much more acceptable in 2015 and 16 as a fully fledged theory, and it does make sense. It's just not long enough to make an ad revenue collecting video off of. And that is the theory that Rotom and Shopit are related. More specifically, that a Shopit is a Rotom with the item the Reaper Cloth drenched over its head. Okay, first off, what's the evidence? Both of them look alike. They're floating spherical ghosts, and of course they have the same shape with the point on the head. Okay, but Toby, that can't be all you have for it, and no, absolutely it's not. We know the Reaper Cloth has ghost transforming abilities. It's the evolution trade item for the Duskull line from Dusclops into Dusknoir, which the Duskull line and Shopit kind of were parallels of each other in Generation 3, with I have a feeling, I don't think they were version exclusive, but their ratios, the odds of finding them were maybe swapped around between Ruby and Sapphire, or maybe I'm just making that up. Rotom's up there again. Anyway, however, it is interesting to note that both Shopit and Rotom are part of the same egg group. The shiny version of Shopit is sort of illuminated with the plasma color of Rotom. Okay, maybe not with that one. Again, really, it made more sense back in 2015. Anyway, but it is interesting to note, and I still agree with the fact that Shopit can learn a surprising amount of electric moves. It can learn up to 5, which is only a few less than Rotom could at the time. Additionally, the idea that Shopit will have lost its electric typing from when it was a Rotom is due to the fact that the Reaper Cloth might insulate electricity, which is a pretty common thing that certain materials do. They insulate stuff. Okay, but we're saving the best till last. That is, of course, that Shopit evolves into Banette, a prankster Pokemon that likes to possess dolls, or is an abandoned doll. Meanwhile, that's what Rotom loves to do, possess machinery and electronics, but no longer being an electric type Pokemon, it can't do that anymore, so it can only possess other materials like the material that it's inhabiting, which is the Reaper Cloth. And so there you have it. Those are the connections. Shopit and Rotom are closely related, and if you took a Reaper Cloth and threw it over a Rotom, it would transform into a Shopit. What do you think? Is this one likely? The next Pokemon theory about Rotom is one that again ties into that initial intrigue. Actually, it's the other half of the collaboration I did with Luke back then, and that is the idea that Rotom is a legendary Pokemon, or at least it was intended to be. Because in the original Diamond and Pearl, you couldn't catch Rotom until after you got the National Dex. Now, it's not only legendary Pokemon that you could obtain after the National Dex. There were a bunch of other Sinnoh Pokemon, Rhyperior, Glaceon, Leafeon, Licky, Tangrowth, the list goes on, but Rotom was the only one that wasn't an evolution of past Pokemon. Additionally, it's right next to the Lake Trio, the Lake Spirits, in the Pokedex, putting it somewhere between these new Sinnoh Pokemon and legendary Pokemon. But the real nail in the coffin for it was when you encountered Rotom in the Old Chateau, it would play the legendary encounter music from Diamond and Pearl. That music would only appear when you encountered legendary Pokemon, and it was a one-of. It was a static encounter, unlike these other evolution Pokemon where you could just keep on evolving like Togetix into Togekisses. Rotom was one of 1. It does of course have an egg group, so in that sense it's not as close to legendaries, but you could also breed Manaphy in that generation. Sure, you'd get Fiona, but the point is the rules were starting to bend in Generation 4. So maybe there's this idea, this intention that Rotom was originally supposed to be a legendary Pokemon. In fact, we see, even by Pokemon's own standard in the animated series, in the 3rd movie, we see a book filled with legendary Pokemon, and we see pictures of the unknown Pokemon that according to the game's code are not legendary Pokemon. Similarly, in the 1st episode or 2nd episode of the Pokemon animated series, we see Arcanine, the legendary Pokemon by its Pokedex description, there on the wall next to Moltres, Zapdos, and Articuno. So maybe Rotom was originally intended to be a legendary, or perhaps in the world of Pokemon lore, it used to be a legendary, but it's not anymore. The 3rd theory that I have for you is by my friend Exelian, and it's a pretty short one, but I love it. This is because Rotom has also become our guide to the Pokedex. See, in days of old, the Pokedex would just record data, I guess put in it either by Pokemon professors or by Pokemon trainers going around the Pokemon world. You'd do the field work, see the Pokemon behaving in the wild, and you put in that information into the Pokedex to create a complete encyclopedia of all Pokemon information. But as of Pokemon X and Y, the Pokedex transforms and becomes the Rotom Dex. Except that wasn't X and Y, that's a generation too soon. It was Sun and Moon. Though there is another theory, although I think it's more like confirmed lore now, that it was Clement from X and Y who actually developed the Rotom Dex technology. Anyway, Sun and Moon, Rotom Dex. And something else happened in Pokemon Sun and Moon. Pokedex entries started getting really dark. There was Gengars and Mimikyus that talked about death and people dying, but also Toxapexes was just like brutal. And the theory here is simple. This is because this information is not accurate. It's not accurate Pokemon information. It's being toyed with and played with by the Rotom in the device. Because again, Rotom has Pokedex entries of its own talking about how it is a prankster, how it loves to cause mischief. And on top of that, it's a ghost, so it would be more inclined to tell ghost stories. So the idea is actually all of the Pokedex information from Sun and Moon onwards is very unreliable because it's all being told through the lens of a very mischievous Rotom. Mischievous Rotom. Pokemon theory for Rotom number 4 was given to me by Super Nerd Quiz Clown, a community member. And again, it's another one of those possession ones that I love because that's what Rotom does. It possesses electrical equipment. And there's this theory, this idea that like Voltorb is a possessed Pokeball, specifically of Haunter because they have similar eyes. But that doesn't make sense because there are so many other theories about the origin of Ghastly and Haunter and Gengar that's like its own video that we've covered actually on this channel I think before. But what would make more sense than Haunter possessing a Pokeball to become a Voltorb is Rotom possessing a Pokeball to become a Voltorb. See, Pokeballs are electrical devices that are everywhere in the Pokemon world. Rotom would be very attracted to them. And by the way, if you're wondering, the Pokeball definitely came first. Voltorb has Pokedex entries like in Ruby that said that they were first encountered in Pokeball factories, and in fact there's Pokedex entries that talk about the fact that a pulse of energy hit a Pokeball, turning it into Voltorb or Electrode. And a pulse is a very specific word because Rotom is inspired by the video game Pulseman, one of Game Freak's other much earlier titles. It's inspired by the main character. Rotom is the pulse of energy that hit the Pokeball, but whereas usually when Rotom takes over machinery, it takes control of it and has fun and causes mischief, what Rotom doesn't realize when it takes over a Pokeball in a Pokeball factory is, Pokeballs are designed to capture and retain the Pokemon, meaning Rotom can no longer escape, making it very angry. So angry that it tries to use all of its electrical power to explode, which is why that's what Voltorb and Electrode love to do. They're able to do it completely without hurting themselves, not really, other than their HP lowering. Electrode love to explode. This is the Rotom saying, hey, let me out, and if you can't let me out, I'm gonna cause a lot of mischief. And that is how the Voltorb species appeared. It is interesting to note that when you can find Rotom in the wild in Pokemon, it's typically in areas like the old chateau, old mansions where new technologies like Pokeball Pokeballs? Like Pokeball is the Pokeball is less likely to appear. And number 5, we have to go back to the old chateau and talk about the old notebook that you can find there. This is one of my favorite Pokemon theories. I've covered it in a Pokemon Epic before in the old chateau, and I've actually got an upcoming video, another Pokemon Epic for Halloween, that kind of ties into this as well. But in Pokemon Platinum, there's an old notebook that you can find in the old chateau where you find Rotom, which simply says, something so peculiar happened with the motor. Sorry, something so peculiar made off with the motor. This is of course talking about the peculiar Pokemon Rotom making off with the motor, but what's interesting is this is the old notebook, and a duplicate notebook can be found in the Team Galactic headquarters that exists in Eterna City. You can only get in there with a secret key, and there the Team Galactic admin Charon is researching Rotom, which is really weird because Team Galactic don't really have any ties or need for a Rotom. Team Galactic are interested in Dialga and Palkia and other dimensions, and sure, they go after other legendary Pokemon, and Charon in the manga goes after other legendaries like Heatran, but Rotom doesn't tie into their plans at all. The only other tie here is that I think the Galactic Gang or the Galaxy Gang were the main villains in that Pulseman game that I mentioned, but other than that, there's not really a connection between Team Galactic and Rotom. But there is here. And for the longest time, I speculated something. That Team Galactic's glorious leader, Cyrus, the nihilist who doesn't care about this world, who hates spirit with a passion and strong emotions, even though hate is an emotion, that he used to live in the old chateau. See, in Pokemon Platinum, to add a little bit more backstory to his character, we meet his grandfather in the Battle Resort area, and the grandfather says that growing up, Cyrus lived in Sunnyshore's City, but the grandfather regrets not taking him in. Why would he need to take him in? Maybe before Sunnyshore, Cyrus lived in the old chateau. The old notebook that appears in the Team Galactic headquarters tells more of the story, about a young child who didn't really have many friends, who loved to play with his robots, which is exactly what the grandfather who in the Battle Resort says about Cyrus, that he was antisocial, but he loved playing with his machines, his toys, tinkering with them and playing with robots. Until one day, in the old chateau, so the notebook says, this young child was startled when the robot came to life. It was possessed by Rotom, and they actually became friends, until one day the little boy startled Rotom, causing it to discharge electricity, and then eventually the robot was thrown in the trash. My theory is that it was this discharge of electricity that killed the two people that became the butler and the little girl who exist in the old chateau, their ghosts roaming the halls. This is the event that turned Cyrus into a nihilist. The one friendship that he had when he was an antisocial child turned, well, not just badly, but to actual death of his family members. This made him hate the world and wanted to create a world without spirit, because he's literally trying to escape the spirits that live in the old chateau. And over the years, I've just wondered if heading towards Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, whether we'd see any more confirmation of this. And actually, we have. In the Rainbow Rocket episode of Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, Cyrus is of course one of the leaders of Team Rainbow Rocket, one of the admins. You battle him. Right before you battle him, the Rotom Dex jumps out of your pocket and Cyrus makes a comment. He says, even in this world, Rotom is, and then trails off and gets ready to battle you. And then in Pokemon Masters, the most eye-opening bit of character development for Cyrus happens. Cyrus meets Sun and Moon's Sophocles, a young boy who's kind of antisocial, who loves tinkering with his machines. Sophocles is shy and reminds Cyrus of a younger him, but additionally, Cyrus makes a comment about the fact that Sophocles' partner Pokemon here is Rotom. He asks, is this Rotom yours? And Sophocles says he's just looking after it for another trainer, but this Rotom really seems to like you, mister. Who are you? And he explains that he's Cyrus and actually gives Sophocles the time of day for a conversation. In fact, so much time that day turns to night, and then Cyrus starts talking about, has explained all of the ways in which Rotom can use its different forms. Cyrus knows a lot about Rotom personally. This isn't just a Team Galactic research mission that's happening in the Galactic headquarters in Eterna City. This is Cyrus knows Rotom, that it's a Pokemon that he's used before. Cyrus actually kind of cracks a smile and sees himself in Sophocles and tries to plead with Sophocles and sort of say, do you understand my vision? Join Team Galactic effectively. But Sophocles is wait, hang on, no, like, I like people and I like emotions. I think emotions are good, to which Cyrus sort of says, you'll never understand, because what Cyrus has been through was so traumatic and it's tied deeply into Rotom. And in my opinion, the entire pre-story that involves the old chateau. And the big thing that Cyrus says that is so poignant in this is that he says to Sophocles, you remind me of a child I know well. He's talking about himself in the third person because that child version of him is long gone. Dead, as he is now Cyrus, the leader of Team Galactic, and Rotom was his only pathway back to the light, but I think it might be too late for him. And then there's a really awesome battle where Cynthia shows up with her Tommo and her cool new outfit. I hope we get that outfit in Legends Arceus, that'd be awesome. Anyway, there you have it, just 5 theories about Rotom in the kind of celebration for spooky season. Thank you for watching me this spooky season and in all of the spooky seasons gone by. I'm sure in the future I will have more Rotom theories for you. Hopefully we'll learn some bit in Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, or maybe even Legends Arceus. Thank you all for watching, and don't forget, if you leave a comment on this video, you will be in with the chance of winning a copy of Legends Arceus when it comes out, and you can check out my whole playlist of Sword and Shield? No, Diamond and Pearl, Sinnoh, Legends Arceus focused videos linked in the description. Thank you all for watching, and of course, soar high, Pokemon Masters.
This is Ash Ketchum. You just watched a video by Birdkeeper Toby. That makes you a Pokemon Master!
Wow, what can I say but thank you to everyone supporting this channel, especially those you supporting on Patreon, and the big patrons of this month, JD Gottlich, Michael Hornschuch, PokeAtmos, PokeBliss, Jed Rubin, Matty Barr, and Stefan Peters. Thank you, all of you. Legends.